This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, sorry, we'll take two. Good afternoon, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. We continue in the Orchos Chaim of the Rosh. We're up to Oy Samach Dalid. The Rosh tells us, Al Toshiv L'Mecharfecha U'L'Mevazecha. Do not respond to those who shame you, to those who embarrass you. V'Tasim Yad L'Peh. Place your hand on your mouth. U'Shesoik, and be silent. Pen Yecham Levavecha. Lest your heart be heated up. Rav Goldberg points out this is something the Rosh already discussed. The Rosh already told us in Oischav Beis that if people curse you or embarrass you, do not respond to them, but be from those who are ashamed. But what is the Rosh then adding over here? He already told us not to insult back. Here the Rosh is adding that not only should you not insult back, but you shouldn't respond at all, because if you respond at all, there is a concern that you'll get heated up and you'll come to anger. But we could say further, because the Rosh said earlier, Im yikaluhu b'nei Adam, don't respond to them, but be min hane'elavim. So the Rosh there said, don't respond. In other words, don't answer back. Don't answer in kind. However, here the Rosh is adding, don't even say anything. Because even if you're going to answer in a calm way, even if you're going to speak softly, there is a danger you may get entangled, you may get embroiled, and therefore the best response is no response at all. The Chafetz Chaim writes in the Shmiras Halashain, Chazal tell us, Hane'elavim ve'ino malvim, those who insult, those who are insulted and don't insult back. Shoymim cherpasam ve'ino mashivim, those who hear their insult and they don't respond. Smeichim b'yisurim v'oisem me'ahava, those who rejoice in affliction and they act out of love. The Chafetz Chaim says 3 points are being mentioned. Point number 1, hane'elavim ve'ino malvim. Point number 2, shoymin cherpasam ve'ino mashivin. Point number 3, smeichim b'yisurim oisem me'ahava smeichim b'yisurim. So there are 3 madregos. The first madrega is someone insults you, you don't insult back, but you respond. Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? The next madrega is Shomim Cherpas Ein Mashivim. People insult you, but you don't respond, but you're thinking, it's not right. Why'd that happen? The person is wrong for doing that. But the highest madrega is Oisem Smeichim B'Yisurim V'Oisem Eyahava. They rejoice in affliction and they act out of love. So that's the highest madrega. The highest madrega is not to respond at all, and not even to respond softly, not even to respond gently. The highest madrega is not to respond at all, and even beyond not responding, even higher than that, even greater than that, is to understand that, like the Sefer HaChinuch writes on the prohibition of not taking revenge, recognize if somebody says something insulting to you, this was heaven sent, it was divinely orchestrated, it's hashgacha pratis, and it's some type of kapara, and a person rejoices in this kind of yisurim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent one's way, because it sure beats chas v'shalom being ill or some other form of yisurim. Rav Goldberg cites the Sefer HaChinuch in Mitzvah Shin Lamed Ches, not to insult another Jew. So the Sefer HaChinuch says that the Torah does not expect a person that if they're insulted not to answer back, because it's not really possible to expect a person to be like a stone and not respond at all, and otherwise his silence could be construed as some kind of admission. But what the Torah is saying is that we should distance ourselves from the midah, not to fight with people. Because if somebody is not an argumentative person, then people won't insult them, because basically it takes 2 to tango. And if a person's hanhaga and a person's practice is just to sort of lay low, then people won't start up with them. However, the Sefer HaChinuch says there's a midas chasidus that a person doesn't respond at all. In other words, Me'ikar hadin, Hashem doesn't expect a person not obligated not to respond at all. But the proper thing to do, the Sefer Chinuch says, is to answer derech silsul uniimos in a pleasant way, in a refined way, and this will sort of subdue and squelch the whole fight. However, there is a midas chasidus not to respond at all. And about such a hanhaga, the Sefer Chinuch cites the Gemara on Shabbos on Daf Pei Chesed Beis we mentioned before, Hanei Alavin Ve'ena Novim Shem Charpas Ve'ena Meshivim. So the Rav Goldberg points out, Me'ikar Adin, a person is allowed to respond in a calm way, but the Midas Chasidus is to not respond at all. And we, as we pointed out, the highest madrega is actually to rejoice in being put in that situation, recognizing that it's some type of kapara min hashamayim. Oy samachei, al tis'aber ariv loylach. Literally, don't get involved in a machlokes that's not yours. Ki l'soif heim yashlimu b'neim. In the end, they will make peace. Va'ata tishar bekas, and you will remain in anger. The Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky would say, look what happened with Dasan Ba'aviram. Moshe Rabbeinu tried to make peace between the two of them. He said, Rosh lama saka reyacha. And then later on, the two of them must have made up, and they both teamed up. They tag teamed against Moshe Rabbeinu. So be very hesitant. You know, sometimes a rabbi gets involved in shalom bayis. He makes peace between a son-in-law and a father-in-law, a husband and wife. By the end of the story, the two of them make up, but they both hate the rabbi. So now, that's not really what the Rosh is saying. He's saying, Al tisaber. Comes from a pasuk in Mishlei, Perek Chavav, pasuk Yedzayin. Machzik ba'oznei kelev avar misaber ariv loyloi. Someone who grabs the ears of a dog who's passing is analogous to somebody who gets involved in a machlokes that's not his. You know, you're walking down the street, you're minding your own business, and there's a dog walking by, so the best practice is just mind your own business, continue on your merry way. The last thing you want to do is kick the dog in the face. The dog he has other business to attend to. So grabbing a hold of the ear of a dog that's passing by, that's what happens when you get involved in a machlokes that you have no business getting involved in. Because in the end, they will make peace and you will remain bekas. Why? Rabbi Cheskel Sarn explains, they had a reason to be angry at each other. And when that reason passes, they'll make up. But you had no reason to get involved. So you're going to remain in anger when the dust settles. Rav Goldberg explains the word tisaber means anger, meaning don't enter into someone else's fight in anger and make yourself as if this affects you, because eventually they'll calm down, but you who angered yourself for naught, you will remain angry. But there are times that call for a person to get involved to put a fight to rest, but you should not do so in an angry way. In other words, if you're getting in the middle of an argument, it should not become personal to you, as if like you have a personal stake in it, and your temper is going to flare, because ultimately they'll calm down and you will remain angry. But as I mentioned, there are circumstances where even if you enter a dispute in a calm way, unfortunately, all too often, the two parties who are fighting, they can make up and they'll both have tinus against you. So a person should think twice before they get involved in settling any kind of dispute, but all the more so to get involved as a Baal Davar, to get involved because is a very bad idea, and ultimately what could happen is they'll make up and the person who got involved remains in a state of anger. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, 5:35. And thank you everybody. Bruchim Shalom, Kol Tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.